Okay, so our Parsha class this week is more of a Charusa. It's Parsha's Boy, Tafshin Pei Daled. Um, so Michael, what we were speaking about with the Slonima is there's an interesting he brings a beautiful idea in Parsha's Boy because the pasuk says Vayomer Hashem el Moshe Netei yodecha al hashamayim, put your hand on towards the heavens. Yevi choshech al Eretz Mitzrayim, and there'll be choshech on Eretz Mitzrayim. V'yamesh choshech, and the word v'yamesh is a very out of place word. It doesn't really make sense, particularly LP Pshat, but it means it will become like more intense. That's the basic understand. I'm not going to read what Rashi says on the Pshat, but he brings a Midrash Agada and he says, Lashon Mamashesh B'tsarayim, feeling in the afternoon, she kafu umukufal v'av ad shehaya boy mamash, until it had to it mamashus. It was a palpable darkness. You could actually could squidge it, squeeze it, smush it. Yeah, that's how. So it's a problem because there's machloikas, it's machloikas rishonim and mekubalim, but Rav Hass was telling me the other day that the basic maskana is that darkness doesn't have any mamashas. Darkness is just a chesaron or. That although there's the machloikas, but the maskana is that darkness is chesaron or. It's a lack of light. So what does it mean it has mamashas to it? And this is the Slonima answers this up beautifully. He says that the Machas Choshech was actually a tremendous aura that came down from Shemayim, a tremendous light that to the Mitzrim who were so Choshechdik, to them it was Mamash Choshech. So light has a mamashas to it. Light is v'yi'or, it's a nivra. So it comes out that there was a mamashas to it, but it wasn't really a darkness. It was just a darkness to the mitzrim because it's always backwards. A person who is very heilig, yeah, to him, Ra is repulsive. To a person and kedusha is magnetically drawn to kedusha, whereas a person who's very klipadik, it's the exact opposite. Ra is very attractive, beautiful, and or is repulsive. Kedusha is repulsive. So a huge light came down to the Mitzrim, and to them it was mamash choshech, and that's why by the Yidden it was or. Say that. Okay, so that's an idea. Another very important idea, which brings out, there's a couple of they're very quick ideas, but they bring out such a deep musag into Ra and what Ra is number one is in the pasuk, it's Yud Dalad Dalad. So V'yomer Moshe koyama Hashem kachatzois alayla ani yotze b'soichem Mitzrayim. Kachatzois. Yeah. So Rashi says kachatzis kahachelik alayla, like that part of the night. Kachatzis kamoy ba'alois. It really means or b'charois apam banu. It really means at chatzis, not be'erech chatzis. Kachatzis means b'chatzis. But the point is, it says at the end of the Rashi, Shemayitu it's tangine paroi v'yomi Moshe bevadaihu. But Badaihu, not Badai, that he's a badchan, he's a joker. What does that mean? The point was that it was going to be chatzos. Hashem doesn't, Hashem's the betachlis adiyuk. Yeah, so when he says buchatzos, it would be buchatzos mamash. So why did he say kachatzos? Because he said that the astrologers would make a mistake, and they would look at their watch and say, look, it's not chatzos. He is a shakran, he's a badchan, he's a joker, whatever it is, yeah? So then for Hashem said kachatzos. What's the whole, you hear what's the whole thing? But listen, this is so important. is that the Ra, wouldn't you think, yeah, that God says, or the prophet, the ultimate prophet that's ever been, tells you, I'm coming at midday mamash. You look at your watch, he turns up, and it's like 20 seconds past midday. Wouldn't you assume that your watch is off? That's Ra. Ra means that I am the default of all of reality. Everything is judged by me. I'm right. I'm the benchmark of all judgment. It's such a deep lesson from such a little quick thing. And it shows you that Hashem's, there's nothing to do about that. Even Hashem himself turns up at Chatzos, and the astrologers are like, "This, you're a minute and a half late, man. This isn't Chatzos. What are you? What kind of God are you? You don't even know how to tell the time." But what could you say to them? There's nothing you could say to that kind of mindset. Nothing you could say. You just like, okay, sorry, I'll try and be on time next time. Yeah, so the Rebbeinu Shalom played the game, and he said, "Kachatzos." That's a very deep understanding into Ra, very deep understanding. But it's cute, but it's still very choshev. Okay, there's also oh, one moment, let me get my here it is. Another idea as well, which is the revelation of the Klippa. This is another very deep idea, very simple, very deep idea. He brings it from Or Chaim. On Pasuk, it's Yud Beis, Pasuk Lamed Beis. He says, when Paro says, get out of here now, he says, Gam soinechem, gam bekarochem, kchu, ka'asher dibaratem, v'leichu. Your soin, your sheep and your cattle take, like you said, and go. V'rachtem gam oisi, and bless me. Now this is Paro after Makas Bochorus, yeah. The Klippa has now been dismantled. Paro then says, go, just get out of here, scram. But as they're going, he says, bless me. So Or Chaim says, is as though the verse says, also bless me. V'shir kosev irachtem gam kein oisi milvad shiyoseh hamaka, and they're just saying, aside from moving the makkah, take away the makkah, also give me a bracha. And this is the bracha. This is the bracha that he was looking for. Hachokas hanezek akravas atoyeles. Distance me from nezek and bring me close to toeles, like to benefit. Once the Ra has been, see, this is really the inyan of Ra. Once you've dismantled the deep Klippa, what's left is a fear of Oynesh and a love of Schar. Because that's what Ra is. Ra is completely bound up in itself. So by Paro, once he's actually been softened and he's been brought to his knees, he is Klippadik. So now he's not trying to kill the Yidden, he's not trying to, he just says, save me from Oynesh and give me Schar. That's why the very first, yeah, the after the, I mean, the third Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, and Tignas Yisoichos says that we should be serving Hashem lo al manas lekabel pras. Our avodah is for him. The avodah of the Klippa is for schar, because when you're serving Hashem for schar and for oynesh, to be saved from oynesh and to be makabel schar, that's not avodah Hashem. That's avodah Atzmi. Just like Rav Noach Weinberg said, he said, if the devil would pay more, then you would be working for him. That's the inyan of schar v'oynesh. So that is really the epitome of the Klippa. That's really what the Klippa. So once the Klippa's had all of the very gas Ra removed from it, then you're just left with this inyan of schar and oynesh, and that was what Paro was. Okay. So there's another idea as well, which is a cute. You'll like this specifically, that the Indian of making peace. Yeah. So by Machas Boad, which was really in last parsha, but we see it from this parsha as well a little bit. Is that it says the Boad and the Aish mislakachas b'soicha Boad. The Aish, so the Boad, there was the Boad. The Aish mislakachas b'soicha Boad. The Aish was flashing within the Boad. Kavod ma'oid. It was very heavy. Yeah. So Rashi says mislakachas b'soicha Aish b'soicha Boad. It was like flaming within the Boad. And Rashi says nace b'soich nace. It was a nace within a nace. The hail was a nace in itself, but there was an extra nace in it. What was that? Ha'eish v'habarad mo'iravin. They were mixed together. The fire and the ice, the hail was mixed together. V'habarad ma'imu, and the barad is ma'im. V'lazo is ratzon koinam asu shalom beineihem. And to make shalom between them, they made shalom between them to do the ratzon koinam. How can that be that Aish and Mayim could make shalom? And this is exactly the inyan. The inyan is that when they are joined together to do ratzon koinam, they do. What's the inyan? So a good example is like this. We've got the ratzon Hashem is echad, yeah? But we see in this world sometimes very contradictory things. Halachas can be contradictory. We can work them out together, but it can come out in this way. It can look like a very kind of, cruel kind of psak, and this way it could be very gentle, whatever it is. So it's like this: a seed. Yeah, the seed from a tree is one. Okay, you could open up a seed from an apple tree, and you just see that oneness, that white oneness. Yeah. You plant the tree, you plant the seed, and a tree forms. Within the tree, you have lots of different parts, but two of the different parts you have are perus, fruits, and leaves. Now, really, when you think about leaves, fruits, and leaves, they are two contradictory phenomena. Leaves are receiving the energy from the sun, and they are giving life to the tree. The pri is makabel all of that energy. The pri, so to speak, is makabel, and the leaves are mashpia. That's two contradictory ideas. How do they exist in the same tree? Well, it's obvious. That's how it goes. So it's the same thing like this. Yeah, your kid who comes back from school with a beautiful report card and a big smile saying they did something lovely. Yeah, you'll put your hand around them and stroke their face and tell them that same child who runs across the road without looking, yeah, you give a stern telling off to. It's the same love. It's the same love. It's just expressing itself. In this situation, it expresses itself as a gentle hands on the cheek. In this situation, it expresses itself as the opposite. It's the same love. That's the whole point. So this is the idea of two contradictory things taking place, is that it's the expression, same thing in a different situation that can actually look to each other. So their root, their source is the same, but just down here, so to speak, fire and ice look completely different. But there's shoresh if you go up high enough, just like you'll find the fruit and the leaf in the same seed, that oneness of the seed, so too you'll find the shoresh of fire and ice in the same place. And that's what it says, that they came together, la'asos ratzon koinam, to do the ruts of their koinam. That ken delay means a nest. Koinoi means your own or whatever, but it also means your nest. That's the home, that's the shoresh of where everything comes from. So by the Aish and the Mayim being miscoven to their shoresh, which is Echad, they were able, even in this situation, to make peace with each other. And that's called a nace. When the contradictory things of this world get together. But in truth, a nace is a revelation of Shem Havaya, the Soich Shem Elokim. That you see Shem Havaya come through, shine through nature. And that's exactly what happens. Because in the Shem Havaya, everything's a yichud. So the Shem Havaya, that's called a nace. When Mayim and Aish get on together, that's the hiskalus of the Shem Havaya in Olam Hazeh, because that's the shoresh where they are one together and they can get on with each other.
So, a couple questions. The fruit and the leaf, you're saying, are two different contradictory concepts within the one seed, right? The fruit and the leaf.
One's a makabel, one's a mashpia.
So my question though, but the tree itself takes energy from the sun, which sun is like fire, and it also draws from water. So here is a tree itself a combination of fire and water.
Everything's made up of 4 elements.
So that's my next question, is that in the tree itself, because then it gives off oxygen, air, and it's rooted in the ground, which is like, and until it gets to the mineral.
But you want to hear even more trippy? Even fire is made of fire, earth, air, and water.
Where does the water come in? The oxygen?
Everything's made of. I don't see. It's a good question asking. This is a very deep idea. This inyan of everything being made of these 4 elements. There's a couple of very deep ideas. One idea, the idea that my Rebbe gives over mostly, is that these four matters, whatever you want to call them, these 4 states of matter. Elements, thank you. These 4 elements are actually directions. They're actually movements. Water goes down. Fire goes up. Air moves in any direction. And earth resists movement. And if you understand, quantum physics, not that anyone does, and you realize that matter is just energy anyway, you realize that really all of reality is just movement. All of physical reality that we see is just different movements of energy. So that's obviously what Chazal miscovered to with those ideas. There's also the union of fire, water, earth, and air is water is liquid, earth is solid, air is gas, and fire is plasma. Those are the 4 states of matter as well. So that's a more simple level, but I think the very deep level is what we just said before, is their different movements. So within fire, you've got the composition of all 4 elements. And within water, you've got the composition of all 4 elements as well. So just to take this idea a little bit further, is there's Rashi says over there, he talks about the different kinds of locust, and there's a locust called a yelek, yeah, Yud Lamaf Kuf. So the idea, it's interesting because if you take a ches, okay, and a ches represents a lot of things, but ches can also represent a life force. It's Chaim, and it's also Cham. I mean, Chaim and Cham they're connected. One of the biggest difference between someone who's nifter and someone who's alive is the temperature. That's a very important point. So the ches is to do with life. Yeah. Now life is to do with everything has what's called kiyum and chiyus. Yeah, it has existence and it has life. Everything exists in the same way. You exist as a rock exists, as a tree exists, as a cloud exists. Yeah, you all exist. There's only one level of existence. Either you exist or you don't exist. It's binary. Life is what makes everything different. Okay? So the life of a stone is that it is solid, it's cold, it's heavy, it doesn't move, yeah? The life of water is that it's wet, it flows, it goes down, it levels out. That's what makes, so what makes water water, and what makes fire fire, and what makes stone stone is its life. What makes you is your life. Now, that's meaning you're that basically is what makes you individual. Like we said, your kiyum, your existence is the same. We all exist. But what makes you individual is your life. You okay? Someone's there? That now, when you put the ches before the lamed and the kuf, you get chelek, a piece, a broken piece, yeah, which is the inyan of machloikus. When your own individuality comes first, then we have machloikus. When the ches comes last, even though it creates the word lokeach, yeah, it's from Lashon mislakachas, which is the peace, the shalom that was between the fire and the water in Makkah's Barad. So when the individuality is what you use to define yourself, that means that comes first. Then we have machloikus. That's Perek Lamed based in the Tanya. When you look at yourself primarily as an individual, as a personality, yeah, then the mitzvah of loving every Jew is basically impossible. The goal is to see yourself as the nefesh elokis, which means we're all one, and your project or your choiv to reality is your individuality. That's what you're giving. That's what you're giving to the world. So when the ches comes first, we have chelek, which means separation, and then we have machloikus. When the ches comes secondary to the lamed and the kuf, then we end up with mislakachas, and that is the inyan of shalom, the opposite of machloikus.
What's that word one more time?
Mitlakachat. It's in pasuk Tes Kaf Daled. I realize now that really that whole story is from last week. It's still worth saying, I think. I'm going to mention one last quick idea, and then we're going to finish. The Mesiras Nefesh of the Yidden in Eretz Mitzrayim was putting the blood on the shtei mezuzahs and the mashkoif. Now, that created a ches. That was a ches shape. Ches in this case stands for chokhmah. And as we know, Mesiras Nefesh is what is drawn through chokhmah. Mesiras Nefesh comes from above chokhmah, but chokhmah is the opening, yeah, which is also the door, the inyan of the Pesach, yeah. That's why the if you know that the nakudas go with the spheres, yeah. So a kamatz goes with Kesa, a tsere goes with Bina, and a Pasach goes with chokhmah. So the Pasach, which is a delet, is the the ches, which is chokhmah. And we created a ches shape, yeah, and that was our Mesiras Nefesh, because we weren't scared of the Mitzrayim, even though we were doing it with the blood of their God, whatever it was. So now Mida Kenega Mida, Hashem saved us with Mayim. Mayim is also the top, so there's an opening at the bottom of the mem, yeah. There's an opening at the bottom of men. So as we showed our Mesiras Nefesh and we painted the sides and the top, Hashem saved us through Mayim, which is again the idea of the top and the sides. Yeah. How did he destroy the Mitzrayim? See, he destroyed the Mitzrayim with the Mayim, but you know what caught them? Was the teat. The teat is like Tes Yud Tes. That they got stuck in the teat. A tes is basically a kaf and a vav connected at the bottom, whereas a mem is a kaf and a vav connected at the top. So they got caught in the teat, which was the turning around of the mem. So what saved us, the hayfich of what saved us, is what destroyed the Mitzrim. Again, we see the idea of the choshech by the Yidden. The light was light, but by the Mitzrim, the light was darkness, as we said at the beginning, yeah? So we were saved by the mem, that by us, that was the mayim, but what caught the Mitzrim was that it wasn't dry land, it was teat, which was the ches turned upside down. So our Mesiras Nefesh flipped around, and it saved us, and in its opposite form, it destroyed the Mitzrim. Okay. That was nice. At a chavrusa today.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
Incredible.
Shkoyach. Okay, it sounds like I might be coming out to